That's that.
Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chat Night, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Chat Night Africa. We all over the world, Chat Night Africa. Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, the only place that we give you good vibes. Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night, all over the world we are shining the light. Chat Night Africa. Welcome to Chat Night.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for deciding to watch this combustible broadcast. Before we take a deep dive into the core of the subject, let me ask you this question. What does an undocumented immigrant look like? Massive raids are currently going on across the United States to reflect what President Trump calls deportation shock and awe. Now you see why, whether or not you reside in the United States legally, you should pay attention to the package tonight. We are on an exploration of President Trump's blizzard of executive orders related to immigration. Remember this: the churches you attend, the schools your children go to are no longer off limits. That's serious. President Trump justifies the raids across the country that people from prisons and mental institutions from other countries are invading the United States. So he is declaring a war. To put the slew of immigration-related executive orders under microscopic examination, we invited an attorney who has for 20 years made his mark in various immigration courts in the United States. He is Attorney Aneneba Akufo. Ladies and gentlemen, join me now in welcoming the learned lawyer on the platform. Attorney Aneneba Akufo, thank you for coming to take some sorted questions on this platform. I had told people that the difference this broadcast makes from the many videos online is that this is going to be very interactive. We will ask some strong questions, follow-ups, and at some point, we will open the lines for questions from the public. Thank you, sir, for accepting to take our invitation, to take our questions on this platform, sir.
Yes, Mr. Divine, good evening, and good evening, all the viewers on Chat Night Africa. It's always a pleasure coming on this very educative and prestigious platform to share knowledge about what's happening within our communities and, and reach our people exactly what's going on and what precautions and measures to take if you're caught in this dragnet of what's currently happening here in this current dispensation here in the United States after the new president took power on January 20th with a slew of executive orders, especially targeting immigration and the enforcement of immigration laws here in the United States. So once again, it's always a pleasure being with you on your platform.
Thank you. And take note, everyone, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Question number one. Candidate Trump's vitriol towards people migrating to the United States got a lot of attention during the presidential election campaigns. President Trump hasn't disguised his acrimony. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if these two words are the most searched on Google: migrants and immigrants. So what is the legal definition of the two, and what's the difference between them?
So technically, one is a corollary of the other. An immigrant is a migrant. So migration is you're moving from one place to the other. It depends why you're moving. Some people search for greener pastures. Some people move because of political repression. Some people move just for, natural disasters in their area of abode. So if you are migrating, then you're either emigrating or you are immigrating with an I and E. So a migrant is somebody who is moving from one place to the other. So if you're immigrating to another country, it's like importing yourself into another country. And so that's immigration in a clear sense about that particular word. But legally, it has become a little bit combustive, taking into cognizance the current dispensation here in the United States. Migration, it's been a trend that has happened through centuries, all through the history of the world. People have moved from one part of the world to the other based on, you know, exactly why they decide to move. So it's not a new concept, but if you attribute it to something, to a political vitriol, that's where the problem comes.
What is his vehemence about migration or illegal immigration?
Well, you might have to ask Mr. Trump why, why he is so vehement about migration and illegal immigration. Um, you see, I think his main focus is about illegal immigration. But he fails to actually make that particular distinction because most of the people who are unlawfully present here in the United States, not illegally present in the United States, because those are two different distinctions. If you're unlawfully present in the United States, it means at some point during your trajectory, your movement, you were authorized to come to the United States, maybe through a visa from your home country. So you entered the United States legally, and at some point they gave you a particular time period to be here in the United States, but you overstayed your visa. Now you're unlawfully present. So then the other one is the illegal migration, which you just come across the border, especially south of the border, into the United States without seeking authorization from your home country. It depends, again, the reason why you're coming here. Once you walk across the border, let's say from Mexico, and you get into the United States, you are an illegal immigrant. And they style you under the INA, the Immigration and Nationality Act, as an illegal alien. So those are the two distinctions. So what he is focusing on is illegal migration. But what most people fail to understand is most of the people that unlawfully present here in the United States, they violated the laws because they overstayed their visas, and they are much more, you know, we have lots of those type of people here in the United States than the illegal migrants who are here in the United States. That's the distinction that most people really don't understand.
Attorney Aneneba Kufo, we have seen the influx of people in their thousands every month trying to cross into the United States. If President Trump calls it a war against the invasion of the United States, does he have a point?
Well, you have to look at it from a legal part and from a humanistic part or from a nationalistic part. Everyone would want to protect their borders where it's inviolable. You just don't let your borders open for people to come. It's just like your private residence itself. You cannot just leave the doors for every stranger to come in there. At some point you need a certain level of guardrails to stop people from coming in. So if he is telling the whole world and telling Americans that there is an influx of illegal migrants coming to the United States from south of the border, I mean, there are statistics showing that that's what's happening. And if he has told his people, his constituents, the members of his, the electorate, that this is what's happening in the south of the border, and he wants to stem that flow of people coming in here, he can use any type of word to allude to that particular fact, whether it's an invasion, whether it's illegal entry. The core, the main thing is it is an unauthorized entry into the United States, depending upon your particular circumstance, because we have to always make that distinction between somebody fleeing from persecution, entering the United States, and somebody who is fleeing from economic depression from their country, coming to the United States to seek, a greener pasture. So those are the two distinctions that we should be able to make in the course of the broadcast.
But you acknowledge, Lawyer Kuffour, that nobody can just throw their doors open for people to just walk in as many as they want. So what is different about Donald Trump that's raising an uproar, such an uproar, especially among the immigrant community?
Well, I think the way he speaks and the bombastic way he says what he's going to do, and the tenacity in which he does it, and the willingness to execute it, because many presidents have done it. They've said it, but they just never executed it. But you people should always understand that President Obama deported a lot of people here from the United States. Of course, people that had committed offenses, they had deportation orders, or removal orders. They never just left the United States. So he deported lots of people. But what Mr. Trump is saying, in spite of that level of deportation, there are still about 11 million people in the United States that need to go. They have removal orders. They entered here unlawfully. And, at some point, they went through the due process in immigration court or went through USCIS and their cases were heard. There was finality in that particular case, but they just never left the United States. So if he is vehement in trying to put those people out there, there is a reason for that, because they have gone through the due process, and they've exhausted all the appeals to the Board of Immigration Appeals or to circuit courts, and there is just no other recourse again than to leave. But if they do not leave, then the president has a right to let them go, especially those that have committed offenses here in the United States.
You are one of the leading immigration attorneys in the United States of African descent. You say that these are people, for the most part, fleeing from war, economic problems from their respective countries. President Trump says these are criminals, murderers, people with diseases, bringing diseases to the United States, people from mental institutions coming in. Now, the people who come to your office for legal defense in the immigration courts, what are they telling you brought them into the United States?
Well, again, you have to make a distinction between the president. He is a politician. I am a legal practitioner. Those are two different things we have to, he wants to assume power. He would say anything. Some of it, there is some truth in it, that criminals are flowing into the United States. Of course, every other country that lets its borders loose, every type of person will come in there. But you cannot summarily just assume that people are coming into the United States, they are all criminals. That is not true. That is where he makes that particular, he overstates that particular rule. But when people walk into my office, I've never been afraid of somebody coming to seek legal assistance in my office, because they look like just you and I. If they are from Europe, from Asia, from South America, or from Africa, they look like people I see every day on the streets. And I have never been afraid of them, and none of them has ever threatened me. And I've never looked at them or profiled them and look at them as if they are from a mental institution. So again, his overtones, what he says might be quite different from what's actually a reality, because nobody would empty their asylum, places in their home countries to come deposit them in the United States. And of course, you have to also understand that the United States is a signatory of the 1957 United Nations Convention for Refugees. And the United States is also a signatory of the 1967 protocol that enforces the 1957 convention. And of course, in 1968, the United States also passed the Refugee Act here in the United States and incorporated that law into the INA, which is the Immigration and Nationality Act, which you are supposed to treat everyone coming into your country in a humane way. You don't denigrate them. You don't look at them as if they are coming from mental asylums from different countries, or people are emptying their prisons to come to the United States. Again, he is a politician. He's seizing the what's happening south of the border to actually invoke to whip people to go to the polls, and that's how he was made president, because he made that a single reason why he was campaigning to be the next president.
You acknowledge, sir, that reality is that there's a cascade of people from different countries into the United States. From my research, the United States is the single most sought after country for asylum in the entire universe. You acknowledge that. Now, people who come to your office, do they look a certain way? And here is why this is why I'm asking the question. It seems to me, in trying to solve one problem, President Trump creates 10. How does an undocumented immigrant look like? Do they have some particular looks?
Well, I don't think so, because nobody carries around that tag on his or her face that he or she is undocumented until you review their papers. But how do you review their papers? It means you have to, I mean, it's a profiling based on stereotyping somebody based on their looks, their color, and how they dress, their mannerisms. You just assume that this person does not belong within this particular environment.
Is that a violation of law?
Well, it is. I mean, no, it is. I mean, because not that it's a violation of the law, it is morally wrong to racially profile somebody based on their race or the color of their skin. You shouldn't do that, because, again, there is the United States Constitution in Article 1, which there is freedom of speech, there is freedom of association, and you cannot look at people who congregate in a particular area and you look at them based on the way their hairstyle looks, the color of their skin, they are black or brown, and you assume that they are from a particular part of the world, not America. America is a melting pot. It's a place where lots of people from different countries come to merge here in the United States. So if you sample, let's say you go to a tropical food market, and people are there shopping, you are going there just because you think these people are from a particular area of the world. So that's profiling right there. Whether it's legal or it's not illegal, it is morally wrong to look at people based on their race and their, the way they look.
You are watching Voices of Africa, and my guest today is Barrister Aneneba Akufor. When President Trump signed all these executive orders, the intention, he said during the elections campaign, was to ship out, some figures put it at 15 million undocumented immigrants, some put it at 11. Now, what problems those things create, we are going to get to that subsequently. How different are the actions of President Trump from those of President Biden? Because the impression is that President Biden just opened the borders for people to walk in. To what extent is the assessment of President Biden's actions on immigration accurate?
Again, I think we are all resident here in the United States. We see what's the influx of migrants from the south of the border. You would realize that when there is a change, in power, especially from the Republicans to the Democrats, the influx, it's a little bit higher, because the notion is that the Democrats are a little bit weak when it comes to the border. The Republicans, they're much more stronger. And if you look at most of the bordering states, they are red states like Texas and all that stuff. So they've gone through this process for a long time. And there is an influx south of the border. That is something that you cannot deny it. You see it every day, and people coming into the United States. So yeah, there is an influx coming in here, but what's the motivation, and how do you stem that? Who controls that much more better than the other? Again, it's a legal issue. It's a factual issue, depending on who you're talking to and how you want that being addressed. So yes, there is actually a migrant issue south of the border of the United States.
So how are President Trump's actions different from those of Biden?
Well, if you see, during his first term, they remain in Mexico, where when you come in, they just don't let you come to the United States. You stay in Mexico until there is a court date. They vet you in Mexico, see if you have a potential case, then they let you into the United States. That was the difference. He tried to build a wall. I mean, that's something that we can all debate whether it was a successful attempt or not, but that's what he did. The remain in Mexico, it was highly, very, very effective because it stemmed the flow. People came, they remained in Mexico. Again, you can look at you can ask about the humanistic part of it, because these are people fleeing from persecution, coming to the United States. They get to the border, you block that entry, and you're a signatory of the Refugee Convention. I mean, you've acceded to all its protocols, because without any reservation, which I know, and asylum is one of them that these people are coming to. So if you leave them back again in Mexico, where gangs have moved these people from south of the border up to Mexico, then you leave them at the throes of the gangs again. That's a little bit inhumane. That's the part that was not nice with Mr. Trump. But again, his backers loved what he was doing, because it stems the flow of the migrants here in the United States. And your due process, you wait until your court date. But with President Biden, he had the CBP app, where you come in, you register, then they call your name, you come in, you get your due process in court. That when the first day on January 20th, when he signed that executive order, I had people who were waiting, people that I knew who were clients that were waiting to get their day in court here in the United States. They just called and said, oh, the app just disappeared on their phone. So it is, I think it is the way he approaches this issue that's quite different. He makes it it resonates with the American people that he wants to enforce the immigration laws. But this is something that's extremely difficult to do, because take, for example, he says there are 11 million people here in the United States. In New Jersey, I think last week, they caught like 400 and something people, and inside those people there was you had a veteran that was caught in that dragnet. And if you look at it, if for 500 and something people that he eventually took out of the United States to Guatemala, if you take 15 million people in the United States, that will take you about 60 years to execute that, taking the number that he's taking down from United States out of the, so he can say it, but to execute it, it's extremely difficult, because some of these people, you don't even know where they are. You might have their address, but now that they know that they are being sought after, they might have to, they might decide to flee.
Before I take you to my questions here, there's a question online by Oba Rose. She asked, should immigrants now move with their documents every time they move around within the United States?
Yes, I'll answer that question with an emphatic yes, because there is an act.
Are you talking about citizens, green card holders, or asylum seekers? What category of immigrants are required by law to move with their papers within the United States?
You see, we just talked about racial profiling. Again, you have to understand the overtones here in the United States. People that don't look like Americans, according to the favor of Mr. Trump and his supporters, you can be profiled at any moment if they think that you have done something wrong. Because look at it this way. He actually revoked the Sensitive Locations Act. The Sensitive Locations Act, which is an HR 1815 rule that was passed, which forbids an immigration officer to go to a church in search of people, to go to the hospital in search of people, to go to a grocery area in search of people, that people within a particular racial minority shop in that particular area. Or in schools searching for illegal immigrants. That act was revoked January 20th. So if you are someone, let's say, coming from south of the border, and you attend a particular church, which is 100% your type of church, a Hispanic church, for example, those are places now that you have to hold your documents before you go to church, because unfortunately, when they come there, they know that 90% of those people are Hispanics, right? If they come to that particular church, they're not looking, they don't know who is a non-immigrant or who has proper documentation. So to be on the safe side, I tell my clients, even if you're a US citizen, there is a passport card that you can carry if you're a green card holder, or even if your asylum application is pending, or any relief that you've sought in the United States is still pending. Hold your papers, hold the notices of action, put them in your pocket so that when they come and you get caught in that particular dragnet, you can present your papers, because when sometimes it's a total overhaul that they come for everybody, unlike when they target specific criminals, that people who have removal orders or people who have committed offenses, they go after those specific people. But if they come, for example, and you are with one of those people, I mean, they will take you also, it's a collateral. But again, to answer that particular question, if you are a sensitive minority, I don't know why I use that word sensitive, but if you know that you belong to that type of a group of people, that it's very easy for you to be profiled. What I would do is I would travel with my papers. I actually told my wife the other day that she should always hold her passport card, American passport card, so that if anything happens, you can always show that card, because you don't know where you would be, and you would be flush, you know, caught in that particular dragnet.
Well, so my dear Christian brothers and sisters, don't leave your papers back home hoping that the Holy Spirit will protect you. These guys, immigration and customs enforcement officials, ICE agents, they can get right there when you're on your knees speaking in tongues, and it wouldn't matter to them.
We love Voices of Africa. Keep watching.
Felix C. Tange writes, Barrister Kufo, what do you understand by Project 2025? How evil or good is it to Americans, and particularly to documented immigrants? Project 2025. Got something to say?
You know, I mean, I know Project 2025 from, you know, during the campaign. I've never really read that particular statute, what the people who wrote it. I know these are extreme points of views from extreme right Americans that, you know, that want America to move into an entirely different trajectory. They think that America is in the wrong path. They're in a collision course with what America was made to be. Because if you're looking at Project 25, from the little that I know, these if you look at, again, looking at the justices of the Supreme Court, these are originalists. These are people that want America to look like America was built when it started, you know, with its original constitution, which is, I think, 8 articles in the constitution, without the amendments, without the Bill of Rights.
That's the group we call conservatives, right?
Exactly, the conservatives. Okay. So those are the people that wrote that document, trying to bring America back to where it was before the 14 amendments or all the other amendments of the United States Constitution. But how it gets to document, now he says documented immigrants. I think if you're documented, you are fine. But if you're undocumented, I think that's what Project 2025 is targeting. And of course, it's racially profiling also.
All right, we have a lot of questions in front of me. At some point, I'm going to open the phone line, 240-603-7367, 240-603-7367. You can call if you're overseas. You can go by WhatsApp 001 before you key the phone number. Barrister Aneneba Akufo, one of the executive orders reinstates, quote, remain in Mexico policy, end of quote. What's that policy, by the way?
Which I just explained. That's, you come in, you are vetted, you stay in Mexico. When the time comes, you come to the United States. Now, they have to make sure that you are actually coming to seek asylum in the United States, because if you come to Mexico, you tell them, oh, my neighbor back in El Salvador, he took out a machete and, you know, tried to cut my hand because, you know, we are fighting over a piece of land, which does not really get you to that point of, you know, seeking protection here in the United States. That's a dispute between you and your neighbor. What they will ask you at the border is, did you go to the police? Did you ask somebody else? to assist you in this particular situation. Why did you flee in the United States? What the US government has said is these are things that can be easily addressed using local legislation in your particular countries. So if it doesn't get to that power, then you don't even have the option of ever coming to seek due process here in the United States. So you remain in Mexico, you are vetted. If you don't get up to that power, then you are then right back away. You don't have a chance to get to the immigration courts, because an asylum officer will interview you. You know, you pass the credible fear. If you do not pass the credible fear, they have you another time again to go before a judge to try to see if you can make the case again before an immigration judge. If you still cannot, then you have to go, but you stay in Mexico and you get that done in, before. Yes.
You are watching Voices of Africa, and Neneba Akufo will be right back. My name is Divine Chamukong, and I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. On this platform, we have 4 programs. We have Next Generation today. We have what you're watching now, which is Voices of Africa. We have Family Matters, and we have Healthline. We will be right back, and our learned lawyer has pointed questions to ask. That will be after this minute-and-a-half interlude of music. Stay tuned. It's by the Grassfield Music in Bamenda, Cameroon. Wow, hold my hands, never let me down. You can watch this broadcast in high definition on www.chatnightafrica.net, www.chatnightafrica.net. It's on YouTube also in high definition. It's on LinkedIn. It's on 2 places on Facebook. Now, the phone lines are open. Thank you, James Tato says, Nidivine. Thank you, Nidivine, for the broadcast. Very, very informative. This is the quality of work we bring here. If you're coming to watch Chat Night Africa, well, this is the kind of quality. And I want to thank all the people who have been contributing, who have been dipping their hands deep in their wallets to make sure that we can produce this quality of programs. We now will invite once more the learned lawyer, Barrister Aneneba Akufo. We have some razor-sharp questions for him. I just got a text, Attorney Aneneba Akufo, from somebody asking for your number, how they can reach you. He says, Divine, this is a very, very, very knowledgeable lawyer on immigration. So please, you want to share your number right now. I can tell you after this show, you will be receiving a lot of calls. Your number, sir. Yes, you are.
I'm okay.
Yes, your number, sir. Again, I just said that. Okay. My number is 240-603 7367. 240-603-73667 for those who are in the United States. If you are outside of the United States, you can call via WhatsApp and the entire universe will hear you. You do 001 first, and then you go with 240-603-7367. Now, I just said that I have received a text, so you can send your question by text, or you can dial into the show. We will take the questions live for everyone across the planet to hear you. Now, somebody just sent me a text that, Divine, this is a very, very knowledgeable lawyer. Can we have his number? And I can tell you that after this show, many people will be calling you. Your number, sir, how can you be reached before we continue?
The office number is 678 675 0395.
All right. That is 678-675-0395. That's the lawyer's number. I've just put out my number, 240-603-7367. And you can dial into the show. You will be live. The entire universe will hear you. Question, Lawyer Kuffour, if some people lose asylum cases in court and some people win, it has to be that there are justifiable and unjustifiable reasons for asylum in the United States. Let's begin with the war and conflict thing that you cited. Just because there's a war going on in some country, is that a reason? Is that a carte blanche for that person to think that they can come into the United States and be granted asylum?
No, not really. Not really, because again, you get granted asylum in the United States. Again, as I said, the United States is a signatory of the conventions, its protocols, and even its laws itself that it incorporated with the INA, which is the Immigration and Nationality Act, and it does protect asylum. And for you to be granted asylum in the United States, it has to be based on your race, your religion, your sexual orientation, your political opinion, or a membership in a particular social group, or under the Torture Convention. America respects all that. So if there is a war in your country and you are fleeing from one part of the country to the other, you still get in, the war is still going on. You now become a refugee in your particular country. Now, coming to the United States to seek political asylum, the question now would be, it becomes very subjective. It becomes very subjective. How did this war affect you personally? Now, where do you, like what I just listed, are you coming because of your race? No, that's not it, because there is a war in your country. Is it because of your religion? No, that's not the reason. Is it because of your sexual orientation? No, that's not the reason. Are you coming to the United States because there is because of your political opinion? No, that's not the reason. If you are a politician in your country and you're being persecuted and there is a war and that's the reason why you're fleeing from your country, then it's based on a political opinion, then you can come in. Or if you are a racial minority, that the war is being triggered because that's how you look in your country. You're an indigene and you're being persecuted by your own government, and it evolves into a war. Now you belong to a particular social group. You come to the United States, yes, you can seek protection and you'll be protected. But that there is a war in your country, well, you flee, you go somewhere. That's where the United Nations comes in, and you will be vetted. And at some point, then they can admit you into the United States as a refugee. But if you're coming to seek asylum, that's totally different. So to answer your question, no, because there is a war in your country, you just cannot come to the United States to come and seek protection, because there must be a basis for you to do that. And if I may ask, look, Need Divine, I'm looking at one of the questions on the screen here about TPS for Cameroonians.
Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll
okay,
just,
good. Okay.
Yeah, we will come to that. Let's. I have a follow-up on this question of asylum. Now, if your asylum application was denied, what should you do? Do you have any legal recourse?
Yes. So it just depends who is, because there are two ways of you seeking asylum in the United States. It's either defensive or affirmative. Affirmative is let's say you take a visa from, let's use Cameroon. If any other country, any other listener is from another country, please pardon me, let me use Cameroon. I can use Nigeria or any other country.
Sure.
You take a visa from your country, you come to the United States, but you're actually fleeing from persecution. Now you go through, you come to the airport, you declare that, hey, I'm coming here to seek protection. Now you would have to, they either have to send you to the court, or if they deny you entry, now they will send you to the court, which is the Executive Office of Immigration Review. Now it's under the Department of Justice. You go, they issue a notice to appear, you go to immigration court, and you sort it out there. But now if you come on that same visa, they admit you into the United States. Let's say you're a student, you go, you start school, then you realize that maybe you suffered persecution in your country, or the conditions have become untenable. Now you cannot go back to your country. Now you seek asylum. That's affirmative, because you are doing it inside the safety of the United States. You were granted admission into the United States. Then now that's affirmative asylum. Let's say it's denied, and now you file with USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. That's where you file your asylum application. If it is denied, you can appeal that decision to the Board of Immigration Appeals for another chance again, to see if there is a likelihood that the question of law was not properly addressed by the asylum officer. Same thing with the immigration court. Let's say you walk across the border, you step foot on the United States, you tell them, okay, I'm fleeing persecution from my country because of my political opinion. After a credible fear interview, they let you in. You see an immigration judge, you go through the due process. After your notice appear, you've been served by DHS. You go to a master calendar hearing, you go through your individual hearing. If for some reason you're not successful, they give you 30 days to appeal that decision. You can appeal to the same judge, or you can appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals. But sometimes it's counterintuitive, because the same judge that denied your asylum application, you go back to that same judge to look at it. Except you must prove that there is a point of law that he did not properly address, which is a little bit difficult sometimes. But if you believe that there is a point of law or a point of fact that the immigration judge did not properly address, then you can take it directly to the Board of Immigration Appeals. So that's where you go. And if they deny, you can go to the circuit courts. So that's another route again for you to take if your asylum application is denied. So yes, there is recourse for you to seek redress after your initial asylum application is denied.
Thank you.
Follow up before we get to the TPS question raised by Atonji. Does someone who has a final removal order from an immigration court, is such a person at the end of the journey? Any more legal options if you've been issued a final removal order?
Yes, there is. That's, I just answered that in a different way. So let's say you went to immigration court yesterday, for an asylum application or any type of relief that you're seeking from immigration court, and the judge denies your application. DHS denies your application. Now they will issue a final removal order against you. So what do you do? Depending on the type of application, the type of relief you are seeking in immigration court, because it is not just asylum that we go to court for. There are other reliefs that we seek in immigration court, but let's say it's been denied. What do? You have 30 days to appeal that decision to the Board of Immigration Appeals. Or if it's an issue of law, you think that the judge did not properly address a particular facet of the act, you can appeal it and raise that particular issue before that judge, and you guys go back again. You file a motion to reopen that case with the same judge. If the judge denies that motion, then you file now an appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals. But generally, you have about 120 days to file a motion to reopen the case after it's been denied in immigration court.
If you call this courtroom on chat night, you're definitely correct. This is Voices of Africa on Chat Night Africa. My name is Divine Nchamakong. I am anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolis. And my guest today on the show taking these questions is Attorney Aneneba Akufo. Question now about TPS. Many people are on the temporary protective status, TPS. Should they be worried?
Yes, it depends also, because some people on TPS who actually had legal entry into the United States. And I always make that distinction, because if you came, let's say you came on a B2 visa, or you came as a student and you were in the United States after your studies, you did not leave, you've never sought any relief, like an adjustment of status here in the United States. You were undocumented, put it that way. And if it just so happens that within that time period, your country, Cameroon, was designated as a beneficiary of the TPS, which is a temporary protective status, then you are allowed to stay. But after it expires, if they decide not to renew it, now you fall back to your previous status, which is you're unlawfully present in the United States. But the other category of people that benefit from that particular order or from that particular relief, it's a temporary relief. They are people who had been issued removal orders already. So you went to immigration court, you did not succeed. They issued you a removal order. So you were ordered removed from the United States, but you just did not leave because you were in front of a docket. You were leaving your house, going to court. So because if you did not succeed, they just don't take you into custody. They give you 30 days to appeal that decision. If you went through that process and everything was complete, you did not win that particular case, now you have that order, it becomes permanent. It becomes permanent. So TPS, what happened, because you had people here in the United States who had been issued removal orders, tens of thousands of them, they just did not leave. So when TPS came, they decided to apply for TPS. Now they give you a work authorization, they give you a social security card, and you can move around. But the catch now is, now you've told them that you were issued this order and you just did not leave. So now, if they decide not to renew TPS, absolutely they will come after you. So I always tell the people that before you even start the TPS application, I tell you that, okay, if they do not renew this, know that the government now knows that you did not leave the United States. They can actually come after you, and they have every right. Those are the type of people Mr. Trump is saying that they had final removal orders, they need to leave the United States, and they will pursue them. So I tell people, if you're on TPS, you are hanging on a shoestring. If they decide not to renew it, they can come after you.
We love Voices of Africa.
And my name is Divine Nchamakong. If you would like to contact lawyer Aneneba Akufo, the number is 678 675 0395. 678 675 0395. Now the question from Alea Atunji. Barrister, what do you think about TPS, which is supposed to expire for Cameroonians by April 2025? Are there prospects for renewal? And if not, what would be your advice for undocumented immigrants who are on TPS? That's a strong one. That's tough.
But that's what we just talked about just a while ago, because if you are he said, if it expires in April 2025, if you're undocumented, and if they do not renew TPS, or if they do not reauthorize it, if they do not reauthorize it, that's the DHS. If they decide not to reauthorize TPS, now you fall back to your previous status, which is you are undocumented, and they can come after you. So it's pretty cut and dry, because you had a removal order, you did not leave. Now they bring out this program because they realize that in Cameroon there is political turmoil, there are problems back there. You cannot go back because of the pressure. Now they issue you that temporary relief. While you're here, you can get work authorization, you can get a social security. And this also goes to people still in immigration court who have removal orders, but there is something called a withholding of removal. a withholding of removal, which is also part of the asylum process, or you have been issued an order of supervision, which means once every year you have to go back to ICE, Immigration and Custom Enforcement, to report to them that I am still here, I'm still maintaining my address. But in that particular situation, they would be issuing you a work authorization on a yearly basis. And at any moment, if they want to take you out of the United States, they have every reason to do it.
There is a question from James Tato. Barrister, what about someone who was removed and she later on came back? Can she still file? I'm assuming filing for TPS, or I don't know what that means.
Filing for asylum, I guess that's what it is.
Perhaps.
Yes, so there is a statute 1326A, 1320, and 1326, and 1324 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, which, excuse me, it persecutes re-entry after removal. So if you had been issued a removal order, you actually left the United States, or they deported you. Okay, put it this way. You came to the United States. You were accosted at the border. You were locked up. From jail, we tried your asylum case. You did not succeed. Now they put you on a plane. You go back to your home country. Now you've been issued a deportation order. Technically, you cannot legally come back to the United States within 5 years after a deportation order. But what we do in immigration court, when it gets to that particular position, when we realize that this case is futile because you're not going to win this case, what we do is we seek what is called voluntary departure, which is sort of a relief. So a voluntary departure is you are not removed from the United States. There is no deportation order. So once you leave the United States, you can legally come back. Let's say you have a parent who is a US citizen, or a daughter or a son who is a US citizen, who can file legal papers for you to come back to the United States. Yes, you can do that if you took a voluntary departure. But with a deportation order, you go, then you come back again. I actually have cases like that, and once you re-enter, there is an automatic bar for you. It's a 10-year. If they, I know you might still go back and there is tension in your home country, but just the fact that you re-enter, there is an automatic bar. You can seek asylum again, but the likelihood is they may not accept it. And even if it gets to a particular point, they might issue what is called a withholding of removal. But the bar is even higher than asylum, because it's easier to have an asylum than the other one, which is the other protection that comes with asylum. So it's easier. Withholding of removal, it's much more difficult. So again, to answer that question, if you are deported, you re-enter, they call it's a reinforcement. You just reinforce the laws.
Yeah, you laid out good reasons or justifiable reasons for asylum in the United States. Now, in court, immigration courts, are these things carved in stone? In other words, automatic, yeah, reasons good, great, asylum. Or do the judges just use their discretion, look at you and say, in spite of the reasons you are giving, you're not going to be given a granted asylum?
Well, who actually brings the charges against you is DHS, not the judge. Yes, he's the middle person. Excuse me. He is the middle person between you and between the private attorney that the non-immigrant hired and the DHS attorney. Yes, asylum is in spite of all this stuff, is discretionary. It is actually the attorney general, because the judge works under the attorney general. It's discretionary. You can give all the good facts and he just says, no, you don't get up to that particular part, and he denies it. But again, if you deny that case, you have recourse for an appeal. And no immigration judge really wants to be overturned all the time by the board, because it actually rings wrong into your profile as a judge. So it's not something you can just decide to do it. Yes, sir.
Are there situations that some lawyers take cases that they know that there's just no chance of winning?
Well,
would you do that? Are there situations that people come to your office and say, look, this is a bad case, try someone else?
I do that most of the times. If you come to me with a case that, let's take this very easy example, not the asylum case. Let's take an example that excuse me, you committed an offense in state court, a possession, trafficking in a controlled substance. Those are federal offenses, and there are no waivers. You cannot waive that offense. And if the local sheriff gets you and calls an ICE and there is a detainer on you and you are taken into immigration court, there is absolutely no way that it just, except there is a particular quantity. Let's take the case of marijuana. If it's less than a gram, less than 30 grams, we can help you out. But if it is more, or even trafficking or possession with intent to traffic, things like that, they are non-waivable. So if you come to me and tell me, okay, sir, this is a situation. I had this conviction in state court. I was caught trafficking cocaine and I was given 5 years probation or 2 years probation. Just the fact that it's a controlled substance, it's a federal offense, it's not waivable, I will just tell you, and I will not take the case, and I will not take it because you're going to lose. There's just no reason to do that.
We love Chat Night Africa.
There's a question before me. Everybody asked me to bring you this question. Everybody. Citizens, non-citizens, green card holders, asylum seekers, asylees, and so on. I'm going to bring you that question after this interlude. You are watching Voices of Africa. My name is Divine Nchamuka. You can watch this show in high definition by going to www.chatnightafrica.net. You simply can go also to, for those who have Android phones, go to Play Store and you'll see the app, the broadcast app for Chat Night Africa for easy connectivity. Download it. Once we hit the airwaves, you get a signal, hit the app, and you get connected. It's as fast as speed of light. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go back to this song by the Grassfield Music in Bamenda, Cameroon. Right, hold my hands, never let me down. Take my hand, let me see your face. Hold my hand, never let me down. Hold my hand, never let me down. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, let's welcome Barrister Anyeneba Akufo on the platform. Oh boy. As you can see, I have a bunch of papers in front of me. Here, I have a lot of questions. I'm coming by text. You can text the question. If you want to stay anonymous, you have my phone number, 240-603-7367, 240-603-7367. If you're overseas, you can go on WhatsApp and hit me with the questions. 001, then you go with 240-603-7367. I'm holding a phone in hand. So if you want the whole planet to hear you, hey, come on, dial the number. You can disagree with the lawyer if you want. You can add, you can ask questions. This is democracy in action. This is courtroom on Chat Night. Now the question everybody wanted me to ask you today. Remember, I started the show by saying, by looking at somebody, can you tell who or what an undocumented immigrant look like? You go to a grocery store, there are white people, there are Hispanics, there are Indians, there are Africans. Eyes go in. And what I mean by eyes, immigration and customs enforcement agents, they go in. How did they determine who is who? So that's why you should pay attention to this question. And because the church you attend, even if you invoke the Holy Spirit, you pray with your hands up and speak in tongues, when ICE agents swap in, sorry, that prayer isn't going to help you. It doesn't look like it's going to help you. So the question, everybody wants me to ask you this question. When you come in contact with ICE, one, if you were coming into the country, you have a green card, they're asking you to sign papers. What should you do? Part A of the question. Part B, when you come face to face with ICE agents, whether in a restaurant, you took a girlfriend or your wife to go eat and they come in, or in your church, you are praying, they say, Pastor, stop that music, and they start face to face with an ICE agent. What do you do? Everybody wants an answer from you.
Keep watching Chat Night Africa.
Okay, so the thing is, to answer that question, we look at the law as it is and what the law ought to be. And now we're looking at legal positivism and the morality in law itself, because what the law is not actually what the law ought to be. Those are things that we can actually, discuss this in, another day. But if the law, again, the law, the law is a command issued by a sovereign, backed by, threat of sanctions. So if the ICE agent is coming for you, it is not something that you should be afraid of. In America, once you set foot on American soil, you have an equal protection of the US Constitution, whether you have legal documentation or you do not. Once you are in the United States, you have it. You have that. You have the protection of the US Constitution. And if let's say you're at a grocery store and the ICE agents comes there, now they want to arrest you. Number one, you ask them, do you have a warrant to arrest me? And I would like to see that warrant. Does that warrant actually show my name? Or the first thing is, you don't even have to talk to an ICE agent when they come in. You don't have to talk to them. Just as I said, the First Amendment gives you the right to be silent also, and the Fifth Amendment, the right to be silent. Just as the First Amendment gives you the right to talk, the Fifth Amendment gives you the right not to talk. So if you come in contact with an ICE agent at a grocery store, for example, and he talks to you, you have a reason to stay quiet. There is, we give this little cards to people, which is like a card which tells the ICE agent that I want to remain silent. I don't want to sign any paper. I don't want to talk to you. I want to see the search warrant, and I want to see my name on the search warrant, and I have a right to talk to my attorney, to call my attorney. Once you show that particular card to the ICE agent, they know that now you know what your rights are. And if they decide that they have a search warrant, ask them to show you. I'm presuming the presumption is you are able to read that warrant. Now look at that warrant correctly. Is that warrant signed by an ICE officer, somebody from the Department of Homeland Security, or it is signed by a judge? It makes quite a big distinction who signed that particular warrant, because under the Fourth Amendment, no warrant shall issue but upon the showing of probable cause. Somebody must have gone to a magistrate, sworn an affidavit as an affiant, saying that there is probable cause that something has happened and we need a warrant to go serve this particular individual. If it's coming from a magistrate, signed, and your name is on it, you have to obey that. You have to follow that agent. But if it's an ICE warrant, and believe it or not, 9 out of 10 times when they come for you, they don't even have any of those warrants. They don't have the ICE warrant. They don't have the judge's warrant. So if there is no warrant, they have no right to arrest you, especially if you know you have not committed any criminal offense, especially if you know that you don't have any removal order, just your mere presence in the United States. And that's why we tell some of our clients, even carrying a foreign passport at that moment becomes a little bit risky, because if you are searched, again, they cannot violate your constitutional rights by search and seizure, try to pat you down to see if you have a passport or things like that. You just have no right. You have the right not to tell them where you're from. Don't tell them I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Togo, I'm from Ghana, I'm from Chile, I'm from Peru. You don't have it's your right to be silent. It's a constitutional protection, and you're accorded that. So there is an ICE warrant, and there is a judicial warrant. The judicial warrant from a magistrate that's been sworn based on an affidavit on probable cause, that's something you have to respect, and you have to look at that one. So again, it depends. But when it comes to workplace rates, that's totally different. They just come there. That's where you talk about the profiling, because they know that, and they must have had statistics that lots of people working at that particular factory or that particular workplace, they don't have documentation, and they take their time to study all these areas before they come in. So that's a dragnet. There'll be collateral in there, and even legal people who are legally present will be caught in that particular dragnet. But rest assured, if you are lawfully present in the United States with proper relief, they will release you.
Lawyer Aneneba Aku, for lots of these undocumented immigrants pick crops in different fields. Could be oranges, mangoes, cabbages, carrots, and so on. Owners of those agro industries are beginning to complain that, but if you ship out these guys, then the nation is going to go hungry. That's another debate. Yes. The question is, why do ICE agents not go after the people who are employing the people they want to take out of the country in the first place? Is there something that protects employers who employ undocumented immigrants? And because the whole thing is looking like President Trump seems to have some secret cows. He leave them alone and go after soft targets. That's my reading of it. I could be wrong.
Well, that's a political question. I cannot really answer that particular part, because as an employer, you are not supposed to employ somebody who is not authorized to legally work in the United States. If you're doing that, I think the Department of Labor, because I think the Form I-9, which they have to verify at all times, whether you have the proper documentation, or if you're coming to pick crops, they give you the seasonal visas to come in and do it. Those ICE agents can always come and verify who has what on that particular farm. You bring your list of your employees, and we verify to make sure that they are legally present here. But whether you can go after the employers, that's something that the Department of Justice can actually go after you if there is verifiable proof that you're employing people that are not legally supposed to be working in the United States. Again, that's a political question. And
I get that. When I was asking the question, I knew exactly that question. If people flying into the United States, let's say you meet ICE and they're telling you, well, sign these documents at the airport, should you or shouldn't you sign?
You don't really have to sign any document at the airport. Yes, you don't have to. You're not. I mean, if they want to take you to immigration court, they issue you what is called a notice to appear. You can actually deny not to sign that particular document. And we've seen those notices brought to us by clients where they actually put a stamp on it that client refused to sign. So it's your right to sign because you don't even know what it is, especially if you speak Spanish and they present you with an English document, you have the right to refuse to sign.
I continue to get text to my phone saying,
Thank you.
and the number to call if you want to reach this lawyer after the broadcast is 678-675-0395. 678-675-0395. This guy has stuff in the head. You can see that on the show. People, the ICE agents usually go to, they generally go to where they call sanctuary cities, where it's assumed you have, I'm assuming that's the meaning, that there are undocumented immigrants, they have some sort of county protections. Or what are sanctuary cities by law? Is it politics or legally there are places carved out, or in states some areas can be carved out called sanctuary cities?
Well, if you're looking at that, you're looking at the legal system, how the United States is structured. You have the United States Constitution and you have states' constitution. What runs immigration laws? What controls immigration laws? It is the United States Constitution. And under the United States Constitution, there's also something called the Supremacy Clause, which overrides every clause in the state constitution where there is a conflict. Where there is a conflict between federal law and state law, the federal law overrides it. So who legislates immigration? It is the federal government, not the state government. But if a state decides that they would not cooperate with the government, or looking at the federal laws, they decide that they want to give certain benefits to non-immigrants in their particular states, I think that's what's called sanctuary states. They might issue them because it's the right of the state to give those documents to them, like an ID for you to be able to drive, medical benefits within the system, free housing or things like that. That's a sanctuary city because these people, they can work, they pay the taxes using a tax ID. They are being charged at a very higher tax bracket than the ordinary person, but they pay into the system. So those are cities that the government within that particular state decides that although the federal law says we should not do this, we are capable, based on our state's constitution, be able to protect these people so that they are not destitute within our cities. So that's the sanctuary city. But that it's in violation of federal immigration law. They will tell you that they have taken cognizance of the federal immigration laws when they were crafting their state's constitution. But again, when it comes to enforcing those particular laws, of course, the federal immigration law will override it. And that's why the president, using his the powers that he's got, he's threatening to go into these sanctuary cities. But the thing is, the local officers should be in the position to cooperate with the ICE agents, because in certain states, if you are locked up if you are detained in state custody, you must, if they look at your documentation, if the local sheriff looks at your documentation and realize that you don't have proper papers, it is their duty to call ICE that this non-citizen is here within our custody and he's not properly documented. So what ICE would do is they will issue a detainer. Please do not release that person. If he is out on bond, keep him there until we come and take him. So that's different. But there are certain cities that they don't enforce these laws, and those are the sanctuary cities, and it is within their rights.
Courtroom on Chat Night. We'll be right back with two important questions. And time for us to have just 45 seconds of an interlude. And watch this.
Chat Night Africa. 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 Chat Night Africa.
and Nigeria. You know about High Life, I get that to you. And all those people, I'm told by my producer that we have close to 2,000 people watching on the internet on www.chatnightafrica.net. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the sponsors, all the people who support us with their wallets so that we can produce this kind of quality programming. I thank you, Mexi. Thank you so much. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have two last questions to close the show. Once more, our learned lawyer on the platform. Well, schools, churches, supermarkets are no longer ground zero for ICE agents. So is your door. So, what if some early morning you hear kong, 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 kong at your door? ICE agents, ICE agents. What do? Do you open or you don't open?
You don't have to open your door to somebody just knocking at your door. You ask them
Well,
why.
they announce themselves. They're ICE agents.
Yeah, they announce themselves. Again, you ask them why are they coming. This is not like a police officer, knocking at your door, which they can forcefully come in. I mean, the ICE agents, they also can. But if they come knocking at your door, especially if you know that your only offense in the United States is you came in unlawfully, and you may have a relief that's pending in court, you ask them, they've already told you that they are from Immigration and Custom Enforcement. They're ICE agents. Ask them, who are they coming after? If they call your name, you ask them for a warrant. Do you have a warrant? If they do not have one, then you don't have to open your door. If they have one, ask them to slip it under the door, or find a way to send that warrant to you so that you can review it, make sure that it's your name on that warrant. And of course, we discussed it. Look at that warrant. Is that warrant is it a judicial warrant, or it's signed by an ICE officer? If it is the latter, then you really don't have to respect that. You don't have to open your door. But if it is signed by a magistrate, which most of the time it is not, and most of the times they do not have a search warrant, then you don't have to open the door. Tell them you don't want to speak, or you want your lawyer. If they want to wait, they can wait until you call your lawyer to come. Then you people can discuss that at that moment, whether there is a reason for ICE to arrest this particular individual or not. And again, they have to show a warrant of arrest.
Note taken. And again, if you want to contact this smart human being, this smart lawyer, his number is 678-675-0395. Let me repeat that for the last time, 678-675-0395. The last question on the show today. As we speak, as Mr. Trump continues to release his blizzard of his plethora of orders, executive orders related to immigration, I imagine that there are people with pending cases. What's going to happen, or what could happen to pending applications for prosecutorial discretion?
So PD is dead. And this is what PD, prosecutorial discretion, actually is, because I actually spoke with the the OPLA, the Office of Principal Legal Advisor, the other day about a PD case that I have. So what PD is in 2021, under the previous DHS officer, director of the DHS, Mayorkas, he assigned Doyle. Doyle was somebody within the Office of Principal Legal Advisor, that for people that are not enforcement priorities, people that you're not a danger to national security in the United States, you're not an enforcement priority, you are not a terrorist here in the United States. If there is a pathway for you Now, assuming that there is a notice to appear for you to come to immigration court already, so that you can be removed from the United States. So if there is a possibility that this person that has a pending case in immigration court, if there is a possibility that he can seek and get relief here in the United States, let's say they have a child who is 1021, or they have a parent who is a US citizen, or they are married to a US citizen, depending on your manner of entry in the United States, what we do is we file some papers with you, some with USCIS. We get receipt notices with approvals. Then we file this memo called prosecutorial discretion to the principal legal advisor within your jurisdiction to see if that court case against you can be terminated. So you pursue your relief outside DOJ, outside the Executive Office of Immigration Review, and get your relief in the United States. But with the current executive order, PD is that discretion is gone. So we cannot go back again. So let's say you have a pending court case in immigration court, and you are married to a U.S. citizen, and there is a record. We cannot terminate that case. We have to wait until that relief is approved with USCIS. Then we file a motion with immigration court at that moment to see if we can terminate the case and get you that relief in the in immigration court. But again, PD is gone with the recent executive orders by Mr. Trump.
Lawyer Aneneba Akufo. I want to thank you from the depths of my heart for this powerful performance on Chat Night Africa. I recall when we started this platform 5 years ago, I used to connect with you and say, flip your phone and turn your phone. Wow, see where we are now. And thank you for being one of our biggest supporters of Chat Night Africa. Thank you so much, sir. And I want to take the opportunity to also extend my very warm regards to your loving wife. I know her. She's supporting you a lot. I saw her setting up your platform, your stage where you are. That's what a dutiful, a loving woman does. When a husband is coming to Chat Night Africa to take some strong questions, thank you so much, sir. I truly appreciate you for all the support you give us at Chat Night Africa. Each time we come knocking, you answer yes. Thank you, sir. Now, what's your last word?
Yeah, again, Mr. Divine, thank you absolutely for what you are doing. It's a calling, it's a profession. That's something you do. And this is not something you just got up one day and decided to do. This is your passion. Journalism is your passion. And on top of that, being a very good journalist, somebody who looks into quality and delivers it in a very objective manner, I think that's what makes you stand out from most other journalists. And please continue that particular pathway, because if you have that sense of judgment, you will always bring people that inform members of the community exactly what's going on objectively, so that you can help them. I mean, you're a light. You help people, because this is a Sunday. I have cases tomorrow to deal with, and this is almost 10:25. I'm here live on your broadcast because I think you're doing something that the community actually benefits from, and I actually applaud you for that. Again, don't relent, always help, because that's who we are. Do the best to the least of your brother in one way or the other, whether it's through information, financially, or whatever you can do to assist your brother, because knowledge is power. If somebody might just be dying because they just don't know what to do or how to do it. But coming on a platform like this, I'm pretty sure that your listeners must have picked one or two things that would help them, in addressing their situations. And of course, again, just like some sort of a cover blanket, this is not like don't take this as giving you a legal representation. No, it's informative. So Don't come back and say Attorney Akufo said do this and do it. No, we are just being informative here. So it is not legal advice that you can hold me to that, but we're just trying to give you this information that you can inform yourself. So thank you so much. And thanks your listeners for spending your time with us tonight.
I want to also thank all the people you can share. I mean, somebody asked me if they can share this. Of course, go right ahead, share it like Accra.
Yes, and Mr. D, and again, thanks my wife. As you said, yes, she is very supportive on when I get on shows like this, helping me. Yeah, I thank her so much.
Absolutely.
And, yes, she is.
And on this platform, and on this platform, we have 4 programs. We have Next Generation today. We have Family Matters. We have Healthline, and we have what you've just been watching, Voices of Africa. We've lined up powerful, transformative contents in the weeks ahead. So when you hear we are coming, please don't miss the rendezvous. And for those of you who have Android phones, you simply can go to your Play Store and download the app. You see Chat Night Africa. That way, instant connectivity, speed of light. And each time we hit the airwaves, you get a notification. Those of you watching on YouTube, please do the same thing. Show us love, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We come here with stuff that change people. This is Exhibit A, as they say in the courtroom. It's been Courtroom on Chat Night Africa. My name is Divine Chamakong. I want to thank my director of transmission, Mr. Mumbalingwa. I want to thank Zé Roja, who is my right-hand man on this platform. He's in Lagos. He's awake now in Lagos, Nigeria, to make sure that this program is on the different social media platforms. What can I say? I want to thank all of you who were out there watching and sharing. Share. It's on the platform, on Facebook, 2 places on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and it's also on the internet, where I'm told close to 2,000 people are currently watching the show. Every good thing has an end. This is how we say merci à tout le monde. My name is Divine Chamakong. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. This is how we say goodbye. And each time you hear this, it's time we say adios.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming to get down. I'm coming to dance, We're gonna dance, we're gonna get down, we're gonna party hardy, we're gonna boogie woogie, and when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here, it's dynamite. I'm ready, I'm coming back.